So in this video, we are going to deploy the Loki stack, that is the Loki and the Promtail and the Grafana. So before that, we can discuss I mean, what is the difference between this earlier logging stack, that is the EFK stack, Elasticsearch, Fluentd, and the Kibana. So basically, in the Loki, the indexing it is only indexing the labels, that is your metadata, instead of indexing the entire that is the log text of the log, which is happened in Elasticsearch. So that's why the performance is definitely improved in Loki. And the Loki create this stream. Basically the two concepts are there. Loki basically create this stream based on your levels, and after that it will divide your the stream into chunks and it will store the chunks. Okay, so there is two things. One is level, I mean index, another is your chunk. Okay, that is the real data. Okay, so basically it index your metadata and store the real data in the chunk. Okay, so these are the I mean you can see the Loki architecture here. So we are going to deploy all the three components, that is the Promtail, which is collecting logs. It's like Fluentd or FluentWit, and this Promtail is forwarding the log to the Loki stack. That is the Loki. This is the architecture of Loki, and Loki have the different component. We'll discuss that part. And once the log is stored inside the Loki, we can use the Grafana UI to visualize this log instead of Kibana, what we used in the Elasticsearch. The Grafana here we can use to visualize this log. Okay, so and one more thing is that the log is most popular because of its scalable architecture, that is microservice based architecture. Okay, so each of the component we can deploy in separate machine so that it is scalable and high performance things. And one more thing is that it has different deployment modes are available. Okay, so each of the component you can deploy either it is we are going to deploy using SimpleScalable, and it has monolithic architecture also there. I mean all the component you can deploy in a single machine. Okay, so instead of going for distributed architecture, if you have like less resource or it is using in a development environment, so in that time you can follow the monolithic or SimpleScalable. Okay, so in the production environment for highly available feature or high performance things, you can use distributed architecture. So today we are going to deploy this the SimpleScalable architecture, and these are the major component of Loki. That is in the graph itself you can see these are the major component. Okay, so there is two main things. One is write path, another is the read path. When it's collecting logs from the front tail and write to the Loki, we follow this path, that is the write path. And when we are querying this log using the Grafana UI, that time we follow this read path. Okay, so suppose we are collecting the logs through Promtail, and the Promtail is writing to the distributor, and the distributor again I mean sending the logs to the ingester, and the ingester is sending based on your index and the chunks, it is stored in some remote storage. That is we can use some file system storage, or otherwise we can use some object storage, which is very cheap. And similarly in the read path, when you are querying this log in the Grafana UI, that time it will first request comes to your query front end, and then it will goes to query courier, and courier itself again check the logs inside the ingester. I mean it is containing some in-memory cache thing, so you can get the logs from here. If the log is not available, the ingester request to this your storage. Okay, so this is the read path and the write path, and this ruler is optional thing that is used for alerting kind of things in sending the alerts to your email notification like that, but we are going to exclude this part. Okay, so we are focusing on this read path and the write path. Yeah, another component is that is the compactor. So basically when once the chunk is created, the chunks to reduce the size, it creating some of the like zip format, some gz format, so that the size will be reduced. Okay, so this is the thing, and you can get all the details from here. The distributor, it deals with the when the input, it is getting the input data, it will receive, I mean validate it and divide into chunks. Okay, and send into the ingester. You can see in the figure the distributor actually dividing into chunks. Then it will send to the ingester. Then the ingester is sending to the respective storage. Okay, so here we are going to use some of the object storage, that is the MINIO, and similar the ingester path, that is the ingester is work as like read and write. Okay, you can see here that is the read path, and this is the write path. Okay, so when you're first trying to retrieve some local query to this courier, then it will forward to the ingester. Okay, it will search from the in-memory things. Okay, if the data is not available in the in-memory of the that is ingester, then it will goes to the your storage. Okay, then it will return from there. Okay, similarly we can follow this is the right path. Okay, when the Promtail sending the log, first it goes to your distributor, and distributor I mean divide it to chunks, and it will send to the your storage. Okay, so this is the path. And in the storage you can have different format, like you can send the logs to your remote S3 storage, that is AWS S3 or any cloud object storage, but here we are going to send to the MINIO local storage. Okay, so for that we can directly jump to the demo. So here is one of my cluster, OpenShift, I mean Kubernetes cluster, having one control plane and three worker nodes are there, and they are deployed inside the kind cluster. Okay, so current version is 133 and all the worker nodes are ready. Okay, so I am going to I think to reduce this time, I am already deployed some of the things. I am going to test only the application deployment and the it is visualization in the Grafana. Okay, but I will tell you all the steps. So the first thing is that as the Loki is going to store its logs to remote, either remote or something local, that is MINIO, that is called the external storage, object storage. Okay, so we are going to deploy that one. So I think in the previous video I covered how to deploy MINIO, but I can show you those files. So here I have one MINIO folder is there, and all the deployment things are there, like MINIO PVC. You can go through that earlier videos so that you can deploy this MINIO storage. Only I can show you like this deployment. Here the most important thing is that the container port. Okay, so we are going to access this port 9000 port. Basically Loki is forwarding the logs to this MINIO object storage. Okay, so we can use this admin username password. So when you are logging this Loki, so since so you can create one namespace or something, then apply -f, all these two files I'm going to apply. That's why I put the dot. Okay, since I already applied this one, so I can show you get all. You can see one MINIO pod is running and one MINIO service is there, that is I access using the node port. Okay, so that I can remotely access this machine, I mean this MINIO pod. So directly you can jump to this MINIO. You can see I already deployed one MINIO and it is accessible using the remote port. Okay, that is the node port, and I created one bucket. Okay, so I created one bucket that is called, go to here in the bucket section, create bucket, and put the name like Loki or something, any name is fine, and I'll show you the deployment. So this is the first part. We need to deploy this one remote, object storage. Once the object storage is completed, then we can go ahead for the Loki deployment. So here we are going to follow this Helm. So for the Helm, most probably you guys know like how to install Helm. You will check that. And once the Helm is installed, then we can add the repo. Yes, so from here you have, yeah, so this command you can use directly, helm repo add, then grafana, then this helm chat. Okay, so since I already added that one, we can check helm search. One second. Yeah, I added this one, this three commands. Okay, helm repo add, then your grafana repo, then you can update that repo, and after that you need to search what are the chats is available inside this added repo. Okay, so you can see there is a lot of flavors of Loki chats are available, and the Promtails are also available. So we are going to install this one, that is SimpleScalable. Okay, and there is other things that fluent bit, but we are going to install the Promtail as the log collector. Okay, so yeah, so let me show you. I have some Loki folders is there. Okay, so here I will tell you how to use the customize that one. So here you can see three commands are there. Okay, to extract the values. Okay, so first thing is that we are going to extract the values from the Loki. Okay, don't use Loki stack. Simple use this one. You can extract the values from here. Grafana Loki SimpleScalable. Okay, once you extract using this command like helm show values, then put this name, entire name Grafana this SimpleScalable, replace this one, and you can forward it to like any name, some YAML. Okay, so in my case you can see here I already forwarded to this YAML, any name is fine. So here I followed to try hyphen Loki dot okay. Okay, you can see a lot of files is there, but that one for testing purpose. But finally I make changes all this thing in this file. I'll show you, and later itself I will upload to GitHub. So you can see there is one section is there, there is the Loki, and auth enabled you can put it as false, so that when we're connecting from Grafana we no need to use some authentication, so you can put it as false. And this is the most important thing, that is the schema config. Here it is using some TSDB, and this one is important, that is the object storage. You can put the S3. Okay, instead of using the file system you can use the S3, because our deployment we are using the SimpleScalable. It is not monolithic in, so the Loki recommend when you are using the deployment mode as SimpleScalable, so that time you can use the object storage. So here we are going to use the object storage, and so for that you can use the object storage as S3, and all these things remain same. No need to touch anything. The retention period is 21 days or something. Based on that you can change this value. Okay, that max concurrency I can put like the courier component. You can see here the component what we have discussed just now in the Loki architecture. This component you can replicate this one. Okay, for the highly availability things, max concurrency there is the 2. And come to the storage section. This is the storage config section, this is the schema config, and this is the storage. This is the important when as we discussed, The distributor is sending to ingester, and the ingester sending the logs to actual storage, that is the S3 storage. Okay, that index and the chunks. Okay, so here we are going to use S3, and I think this components is not required. We can directly jump to S3, and here we need to define our external storage, that is the object storage. We are using MINIO. Okay, so when you deploy the MINIO, that time it is automatically create one service. You can see this service. Okay, this is the default one, DNS. Okay, and this one you need to replace. Since my MINIO is deployed in dev namespace, so that's why I put this dev, and the service name, whatever service name you define inside the service file, the same name you need to put here, and the entire URL is looks like this. Okay, you need to change this part according to your namespace. Okay, then the 9000, as we discussed, this is the 9000 port the MINIO is listening, and this is the last one is the bucket what we have created inside the Loki. Okay, so as yeah, like when you're creating the bucket, whatever bucket name you put here, the same bucket name you can put at here. Okay, then next the important thing is that we need to create the access key and the secret key. So for that, go to here in the second tab, access key, and here you need to create access key, then click on create. Okay, so you can leave all this field as blank, then click on create. Okay, once you click on create, that time it will ask you like you can print all these things, because once you click the finish, you cannot get this secret key. Okay, so that time you need to copy this access key and secret key. So in my case, I already kept those access key and this secret key. Yeah, so I kept that locally. That is, the first one is the access key and second was the secret key. Okay, so that I can put in the Loki configuration. So you can put your access key and this is the secret key. Okay, once you created that in the UI, then you can finish that one, and all these things completed from the MINIO side. Then we can go to Loki configuration, and here you can put the things like S3 port style like true, and this one is important since we are not using HTTPS based approach, so you can put like insecure like true. Okay, so that it will bypass this HTTPS things. Then this is the deployment. As we discussed, we are going to deploy using SimpleScalable, and there is this component. This is the important component. One is backend, another is read, another is write. Okay, so already we discussed like a read path and a write path. So we are going to replicate those things. So in the backend, we are going with the replica 2. Since we have less resource, like only two worker nodes are there, so that's why you go with 2. Otherwise we can go with 3 or something like that. Okay, so read replica 2 and write replica also 2, and in I mean it needs some persistent when you're writing, so that time it is storing these chunks inside the your local persistent like a file system, but the index are stored that they are in the whatever path you mentioned, like MINIO, that bucket path, storing it there. Okay, but the writer and the backend is storing that logs inside the local storage. So for that you need the persistent storage. So here I use the persistent. You can add this section, and the size you can put like 2 GB or 5 GB like that. Okay, so if you have enough storage, by default it will take like 10 GB. Okay, so I don't have much storage, so that's why I go with 2 GB. Okay, then one more important thing is that we are not using the default MINIO storage, so that's why I put it as a false, because we are using some external manually configured MINIO storage. And this gateway, basically the logs are accessible through this MINIO gateway. So when our Promtail is sending the logs, so that time it is the takes of the help of this gateway. Okay, so we are exposed this gateway also using the node port, so that when are putting this I mean the gateway in the Grafana, so that time we can use this node port. Okay, we can remotely access, so that's right. So this one covered this MINIO, Loki. So once everything is completed, then you can deploy this Loki using this command. One help chart is there. Okay. So we can go with this one. You can take like anything. Okay. Yeah, we can go with this one. Yeah, your Loki configuration file. This is the configuration file what we have edited. Okay. So once we go with this one, helm upgrade install Loki and your chat name and your namespace. So one more important thing is that you can create this namespace before we applying this chat. Okay, so I already created this namespace using like kube control create namespace, your namespace, that is the Loki. So after that we can hit enter. So since I already deployed, because it takes some time, so to reduce those time, I already deployed those things. Let me show you all the pods get first. Yeah, so once you deployed that using that command, this is the helm chat. Okay, to deploy only the Loki component, not the Promtail yet. Okay, so once you deployed that one, it will create this number of pods. Okay, as we discussed, Loki have different components are there. You can see the canary component, backend, and the chunks. You can see the chunks. Okay, the cache is there, and the Loki gateway, this is the important one. Okay, so when the Promtail is forwarding the log, so that time we need the Loki gateway, because the through log a Loki gateway is storing to the MINIO object storage. Okay, so this component is important one. And you can see when I read the log, so that time this component is required. So this is two number of replica is running, because we in the configuration file we mentioned the replica equal to 2. Okay, so similar there for the write also, that is a two component, write 0 and write 1. And after that, once you deploy this one, it will take like 5-10 minutes or something. Okay, because it's pulling lot of images, internal Docker images. So you can confirm, wait until it is comes to a running state. Okay, so after that you can check from the your storage class, it is consuming some of the PVC. You can see here backend is taking 2 PVC, and that like whatever size you mentioned there, 2 GB, the same thing is coming here. And once the Loki component is completely deployed, then you can go ahead for the Promtail. Okay, so we can deploy the Promtail. The procedure remains same. So first you can extract the values from the Promtail. Otherwise you can directly use this values, whatever value I'm going to show you, that one you can take from the GitHub. Okay, you can apply that values. Okay, instead of extracting those values from the default chart, you can use this values. Okay, so I'm going to apply these values. Yeah, this is the command helm chat. Before that I can show you Promtail configuration. This is the default configuration, only we need to edit few things. All these things are default. Yeah, so you can go ahead directly. Only important thing is that the Loki part. Okay, I'll show you that part. Directly jump to, either you can search by Loki. Yeah, so you can see one line is there, that is the client. Okay, to which client it's going to push the message, the logs. Okay, because it is forwarding the logs from all your containers to some respective Loki gateway. Okay, so that's why this Loki gateway address we need to put. Okay, so before that I will show you one service. Once you completed the deployment of Loki, so that time one service is getting created, that is the Loki gateway. Okay, so I expose that service using node port, and the default port is 80, and I expose using this node port 3002 something. Okay, so let me show you that sample file. Here you can see this gateway, I put it here. Okay, Loki gateway. Then since it's deployed inside the Loki namespace, and this is the default DNS. Okay, and this is the main I mean the important path, Loki API v1 push. Okay, so all the logs is going to push to this gateway, that is the, and the gateway is pointing to the your MINIO storage. So all the things remain same, no need to change. Some of the additional scraping is there. Yeah, so inside this scrap config you can copy paste these things if you want. I added some of the scrap config like from the namespace, pod, env. Okay, whatever label we added to the pod, our user defined pod, it can collect the logs from there and so create the index based on that. That is the label. Okay, so you can add this one, otherwise keep all these things default. Okay, so I'm going to apply this file. Then how to apply this file? So we can use this command, helm upgrade. Then your file, that is the Promtail file. So once you hit enter, then it will deploy your Loki I mean the Promtail instance. Since in my cluster, Kubernetes cluster, I am using 3 worker node. So the Promtail is going to deploy as a demonstrate. Okay, so it should be run on each and every node. So I excluded this master node, so I have added some tents so that it will not deploy inside the master node. Okay, so if you want to deploy inside the master node, then you need to remove those tents from the default configuration. I can show you that one. Tent, somewhere you can find the tolerations. Yeah, this is the toleration section is there. So here I disabled this one. Okay, it should not be run in the control plane, otherwise it should run on the master or control plane node. Okay, but I disabled that one. Okay, so once you deflate that using this command, it will take some time, like pulling those images on each and every node, so that it will take some time. After that it will deploy your frontal pod like that. Okay, those are in coming to running state. Okay, so this is the second component. The third component is the visualization of your log, that is the Grafana. So in the Grafana you can use the same Loki, I mean the chart, like helm install Grafana, this one. No need to edit anything, directly hit enter, then this pod will be getting created. And once the pod is getting created, it will create some service. I will show you. We need to change, I mean edit that service. You can see one service is also getting created here. Okay, so this service you can change, because we are going to access this service as a node port. Okay, so that's why I put some node port number here, there, I mean here. So let me show you how to edit this one. Edit service Grafana, and here you can go to this section, the node port section. Whatever you want to expose the port number, you can put here. Okay, I'm going to expose in 3003 something, or 30,003, that one. Okay, so I am going to access using node port. Okay, so before that I can show you my cluster is running, API service is running. in this IP address so that I can directly access from this IP address. Okay, so let me show you this one. Yes, so this is the thing. If I hit this IP address, this is the API server IP address, and this is the port number. Okay, 3003 something. Okay, so I put that one. First time it will ask you for the username and password. So since I already log in, so that's why it redirect to this home page. So in the username password, you can put the admin as username, and for the password you can get this from the secret. You can get the password. You can hit this command, get secret namespace, so it will show you the password. The same password you can use during the login time to the Grafana. Okay, so since I already log in, so that's why it is redirect to me the home page. Then after that you need to add your data source, that the Loki data source you need to add here. Go to data source. Here you need to put like add new data source. Okay, since I already added that the data source, I can show you. It will show you this page. Okay, here you need to put any name that Loki, it's fine. This is the important line, that is the connection. Okay, so since I exposed my I will show you that part. Get yes, so since I exposed my gateway, okay, Loki gateway as the node port, so that since I'm accessing it remotely, so that it needs some of the remote IP, remote address. Okay, so that's why I use this. Otherwise you can take the Loki default like internal service name. Okay, that the Loki gateway dot this Loki, then the default DNS. Okay, that one you can take. Otherwise since it is exposed using node port, we can directly access using this one. Okay, so I put my API server IP address, and this is the node port. Okay, this one is important, otherwise it will not connect to your Loki instance. Okay, because it is visualizing logs from the Loki. Okay, so that's why we need to put this address. Then after that you can save and test. Okay, it will show you like successfully connected something. Then for the visualization of log, you can go to this explore, or otherwise from the drill down, some section is there like logs, and here you can show you, I mean all the logs are visualized at here. Okay, so we can filter the log based on our labels. So let me going let me I mean going to deploy one simple application, some counter application or something. Yeah, so k hyphen n Loki. I can show you that application counter something. Okay, this is the test application. Application name, metadata name is counter, and I added some of the labels like app equal to, this is key value pair, app equal to this, env equal to development. Okay, so that this label we can filter in the Grafana. Okay, and this is the simple like counter app having message like counter, some variable I is there, and show the date, current date, and the counter is incremented like 1 2 3 like that, and every 5 seconds is going to display the message or print the message. Okay, simple BGBox application. Okay, so let me deploy this application. You can remember this environment and this container name, so that we can filter there using this environment or something, test container, app equal to test container. Okay, so let me generate some logs. A hyphen n Loki. I'm going to deploy in the same namespace. Then apply hyphen f, then counter up. Okay, so this counter up right now deployed, it should generate some log, so we can check the log. First check the pod. Yeah, it is coming to running state counter. Then we can check the logs. Yeah, so right now it is generated like counter 3, counter 0 1 2 3. The recent message is like counter 3, I think. Yeah, counter 5 also generated. So we expect this message should be showing at Grafana. Okay, if everything looks good, it will the Promtail is picking up these messages and forwarding to Loki, and the Loki, from the Loki gateway, this Grafana is accessing all the data. Okay, and meanwhile we can check like in the MINIO object storage, this size should be growing. Okay, it will take like 5-10 minutes or 15 minutes to come off those chunks. Okay, log chunks. Okay, so go to object browser, click on your object bucket, and you can see one chunk folder is created, and inside that this much file should be created immediately. One file should be created, that is the seed.json. Basically for the interconnection between each component, this file is created. And most important thing, the index is created after 10-15 minutes. Okay, that's why I deployed this one to reduce this time. And inside the inside the index, you can see recently there is lot of index are getting created. You can see here the my write time is actually the time right now is like 12:45, 12:44. Okay, you can see it is generated just 10 minutes before, 12:31 something, and this is the recent one. Okay, so this is the write 0 and write 1. You can see here these two pods. Okay, this is the writer pod, basically writing to this your object storage. So they are compressing. Already we discussed that part, like the compactor is there which is compressing the data using some tsdb table is there, and gz format. Okay, zipping that one. Okay, so this is the internal things how it will work. And after that, this pods, we are going to deploy some application pods, since we already deployed this application pod also right now, and it's generating some log. The current log is like counter 32, so we expect this 32 should be shown in the your UI. Okay, so go to drill down logs, and here you can search by your levels. Okay, whatever levels you put in the your counter, your pod, those are coming at here. Because of the I told you, like the scrap config inside the Promtail. I can show you those things also. In the Promtail, the Grafana document, you can see some of the predefined scrap config are there. Okay, so here the pod script config is there, so you can use this one. Okay, yeah, this one. You can see here the metadata Kubernetes pod level. You can mention your level, like whatever level, env or of something, whatever level you can add here and put it inside the Promtail configuration in the scrap config. Okay, so I'm going to show you this container log. So now you can see 46 log is already generated. It will take 1 to 2 minutes to reflect inside the Grafana, because Promtail is taking some time, like 1 minute or something. Okay, so let me show you that to filter out to this according to environment env equal to since we put the env as dev, I think there counter dot yeah, so we put the env as dev. So same thing we can select here, and click on show logs. Okay, now we can see it is showing like counter 53 is showing. Okay, so we can see the same thing. Let me show you the log. Yeah, so 53 almost generated few seconds before, and the current log is like 56. So hopefully if you refresh this one, last 5 minutes, if you refresh this one, yeah, so now you can see the 59 also coming. Okay, if you check here again, yeah, 59, whatever log is recently generated, the same thing is coming there. Okay, 7 17 15, this is the timestamp. You can see the same 7 17 15, 7 17 15, this one. If you go to the details, you can get all these things. Okay. Yeah, so this is all about how we deploy this Loki stack using simple, that is the, yeah, so this is the simple scalable architecture. Okay. I think the next time we'll cover to deploy some of the other things like simple binary is there. So there's the monolithic architecture. If the resource if you don't have that much resource, you can deploy using that one. And once everything is completed, you can clean all these things using list -a. It will show you all the Helm chart deployment. If you don't want to continue this all this deployment, you can use uninstall whatever component you want to undeploy, then your namespace. Okay, if you hit this one, then it will uninstall each and every component like Promtail. Then you can go with Loki, then you can go with Grafana. Okay, and if you see like uh, all the components, like the PVC is not getting deleted, you can manually delete the PVC like k-n namespace, that Loki, and delete PVC name. Okay, so that is all about this Loki stack deployment. I think it is took a lot of time. Thank you guys.